Hello and welcome to this new session of EG classes. In this segment of EG classes, we will talk about claim of forest rights dwellers were rejected after the Supreme Court order of eviction. Now, in February 2019, Supreme Court had ordered the eviction of the forest dwellers residing in the forest areas. Now, after this order, post this eviction order in the month of February 2019, more than 1 million people are likely to be displaced living in the areas of forests. The scheduled tribes and the other forest dwellers living in many parts of our country. So in this segment, we will analyze this issue, and along with it, we will also touch upon slightly certain acts that is being used for protecting the forests in our country. Now, before moving further in this segment, let us see the question for today. Then we will talk about this topic in the limelight of this question that will provide you more analytical view of this topic and discussion. Now, for today, the question is, how will the recent judgment of Supreme Court on eviction of 10 lakh people due to the rejection to their claim as a forest dwellers under the Forest Rights Act of 2016 will affect these forest dwellers? So in this question, we have to analyze first of all that what this order of Supreme Court of eviction actually is, and along with it, we have to also see that what would be the possible ramifications of this order of Supreme Court on these forest dwellers and the scheduled tribes residing in the areas of the forests in different parts of our country. Now, before knowing that what exactly is problem in the context of Supreme Court order of eviction, we have to see that exactly in India there are two specific laws that are used generally for protecting the forest in India. The first act is Indian Forest Act of 1927 and the other act is the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Now we will discuss about both these two laws. The Indian Forest Act of 1927, it empowers the government to declare an area to be a protected forest, reserve forest and the village forest. Now it is your homework to see and find out the difference between all these types of forest. Now the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it empowers the government to declare an area to be a national park or a wildlife sanctuary. Now you have to see that what is the difference between wildlife sanctuary and the national park, and along with it you have to also see who are the persons or the lawmakers who are in the chair to declare an area to be whether it is a national park or it is a wildlife sanctuary. Now talking about one more important act is the Scheduled Tribes and the Other Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006. This act is very important because under this law, these forest dwellers of scheduled tribes and other forest dwellers, their claims are being rejected by the Supreme Court order of eviction. This act recognizes the forest rights. Along with it, it also gives the power to occupation in these forest lands to these scheduled tribes and other forest dwellers that are residing in different parts of our countries from many generations, and their rights are not being recognized or recorded since yet. Under these laws that which I have already discussed, people residing in the forest areas, in the protected areas and the reserve areas of forest are being settled by the forest settlement officer. If their rights or the claims made by them is found to be valid, they are given the right to remain on the land of the forest by these forest settlement officers. Now the problem here do not lies in the claims of these forest dwellers were being rejected by the Supreme Court order of eviction only. The problem also lies by the methodologies adopted for rejecting their claims. Now in states such as Maharashtra and Gujarat, the claims of the forest rights dwellers were rejected due to the lack of satellite imagery. So you can imagine that what is the amicable situation or these flawed methodologies being adopted while rejecting the claims of these forest dwellers. So now moving further on the next stage of our this discussion, we will talk about that what would be the possible ramification of these eviction orders by Supreme Court. Now we will generally discuss the 2 points. Now the first point is impact on social fabric structure. Now this eviction order of Supreme Court can lead to an unrest and agitation and can also lead to a fuel of extremism in many parts of our country. Now the other impact is the impact of livelihood. Now these minor forest produced and the livestock feedings are the main components that is being used by these forest dwellers to sustain their life, and if these forest eviction order can be implemented, so the resilience to these communities' response towards impoverishment will be impacted more. So in last we will say that there are lots of problems associated with this eviction order of Supreme Court, be it following the due process of law, that is right to be treated as fairly, effectively and efficiently to these forest dwellers, and adopting the methodologies of claiming the rights of these forest dwellers were being rejected. And apart from this, we have to see and to provide the different alternative method to these forest dwellers, be it livelihood or the accommodation. So this was all about the whole analysis of these rights of rejection of these forest right dwellers. So with this is the end of video. Till we meet in next time, thank you and God bless to all of you.